Like you got the time is about like an hour and a half before sunrise.
Okay.
The second one, I'm trying to remember. I believe it's like 20 minutes after the sun has reached its zenith or the highest point. Right?
Okay.
Um,
So are you late?
no, because so you have times, right? So, for example, I guess the easiest way actually here, I can pull out, like there's apps that kind of tell you.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to look, let me get to one where it's bolded. So this would be tomorrow's, but it's like, so you have 4:58 is the first prayer, then sunrise, meaning like that's the time limit.
Okay.
So 4:58.
Oh, so you have to do it by those
Yeah.
times. Okay. So
And so yeah.
when you say first of all, who do you pray to?
Yeah, so pray to God. As a Muslim, believe that there's only one God worthy of worship,
Okay.
and there's only Him, no partners associated with Him.
Okay.
So
All right. So what book of instruction do you use?
the Quran. Yeah,
The Quran.
That'd be the Quran. And there's also another thing called Hadith, not to bog down too many details, but in the Hadith, so you have prophets, and Muslims believe the last prophet is Prophet Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Hadith kind of explain his life, how did he live it, by people who were with him, his companions,
Okay.
who directly saw him, and there's like narrations you can follow. So in there, they kind of explain how should you pray, how many units of prayer, right?
And what are you praying for when you say you pray?
So yeah, when you're praying, essentially you're, for my own lack of knowledge on terminology, but you're essentially praising God the whole time, right? So you start the prayer with Allahu Akbar, meaning God is the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's verses of the Quran you recite.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly, it's in the name of God, most gracious and most merciful. All praises to God, Lord of the universe. So essentially, and
Like worshiping kind of
yeah,
prayer.
so you're worshiping God essentially throughout the whole time, understanding kind of who is God, what kind of characteristics, like He is omniscient, all-knowing, all-powerful. So kind of what does that entail, right? And so there are certain positions you assume, right? So you start off standing, then you bow, come back up standing, and then you put your head on the ground. And as Muslims, you're taught the only entity you put your head on the ground for, or you go that far, is for God. So yeah, exactly. Thank you. So like some people kind of do it for other things or bow for other things, but as a Muslim, you should only do it for God. Yeah.
Okay. And I know that there's so many stereotypes out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you kind of refute some of the stereotypes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest one would be like Muslims are terrorists, right? I feel like that's kind of one of the prevalent ones. I think, actually, the stereotypes, they come from an idea of fear in my mind. And I never try to think too much into it. I know, like, for yourself, for example, there's always people trying to learn and understand. And with social media, with YouTube and stuff, like, I feel a lot of people know, like, actually growing up, not a lot of people know Muslims prayed 5 times a day. But now a lot of people know. Like, people even know where roughly do Muslims come from. Like, for example, families from Pakistan, Middle East, right, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and things of that nature. And like, there's a bunch of people who convert as well. Yeah.
I'm not meaning to cut you off, but just a question. With everything that's happening right now with Israel and all of that, is your family safe?
Yes, my family's safe.
And relatives, and
so that's a real blessing, right? And I think for us, it's a humbling experience of like, you never know what situation you might be in, right? Today, America is safe, and I hope I hope the world stays safe for everybody. But you just never know when you might be in danger.
I think maybe the term you're trying to say that we are our brother's keeper.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's because what happens. Ultimately, no matter what happens, one place is going to end up another place. There's no way to separate it like that.
And in Islam, there's the idea of like the whole community is called an ummah, right, of Muslims. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is the whole ummah is like one body. When one part of the body hurts, the rest of it hurts, right?
Exactly.
You feel the pain. So
exactly.
It's kind of
and there's no little pinkies or big thumbs.
Yeah,
everything matters. Every part of your body counts. So okay. Now the question I have is because of course you've been in America, you've been raised here in America. Especially in the United States, Jesus is like the main person.
Absolutely. Yeah, to me, I know technically don't say, but in my mind, America, I've always viewed it as a Christian country. Most of the population is Christian.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yes.
And what do you think about that? What have you? Let me ask you a question, because I know you were raised a certain way, but have you yourself ever, like, I guess maybe stepped outside and read anything different?
Yeah. So I mean, you come across verses from other books, and I believe that's kind of what makes America very unique and special. Like, you get to see a lot of religions, you get to experience a lot of people, and that openness of, like, for example, you saw me praying.
Mm-hmm.
I safely prayed.
Yes.
Nothing was in danger, and that's by the grace of God. And I have to admit, like, that's a benefit of society. Even if somebody doesn't agree with it, they're not going to hurt me, say anything, do anything.
Right.
So that's always wonderful. But yeah, and I mean, that's the unique part. America's got a lot of different religions. So, I have friends who have been who are Christian. I have friends who are Sikhs, Hindus, and you kind of talk to them, learn about their religion, see what it's like.
Yeah.
And it helps, for me at least, it's helped increase my faith in my own religion.
Yeah, right.
Of, like, why am I Muslim? Why do I believe in what I believe? Right. Not to put down anyone else, but to understand of, like,
this is what's going on. This is. I want to ask you, I guess, one question, and I think I'm gonna probably let you ask it if you want to ask anything. Which is, if you had to think about all of everything, this world as it is, what do you think really is, like, the missing piece?
I think it's just, I guess, missing piece of, like, just basic being a good human. Honesty, integrity. Not just fearing people, but trying to understand people. Like, I can't say that, somebody's Christian. I have to know that they have different ideas from me. That, for example, Muslims don't believe in that Jesus Christ or the Trinity, right? But I have to respect that, right? That is their choice, their right to do so. So kind of this idea of, like, just being a good person and understanding what does it mean. Just because things are different, ideas are different, doesn't mean we have to be against one another, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I guess respectful disagreements.
There you go. Thank you very much for answering whatever question I had. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay,
good.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go right there. But thank you very much.